Hey everybody, and welcome back to Astrologaster, where we meet Mr. Humphrey Bell. And let's see what's up with him. I don't believe we've ever met him before. Come in, Mr. Comely Youth, and tell us, what brings you here today?
Good morrow, young sir. Methinks this is your first consultation, Mr.
Humphrey Bell, sir.
And how may I do you service this day, Mr. Bell?
I want to get lean in that.
You wish to become lean, you say? And why would you need to be any leaner than you are now? You do not appear at all overplump. Indeed, you appear to be a young man in the full vigour of health.
Yay, but I do the lady parts though, innit?
You do the lady parts. Oh, I see. You are a player who plays feminine roles upon the stage.
I'm glad you understood that.
Yes, I think I recognize you now. You play for Lord Chamberlain's men, do you not? The company of players led by Will Shakespeare, Richard Burbage, and Will Kemp, among others.
Aye, sir. I play for them as a hired man, and next month I'm to play a fairy queen in a play we're doing for Lord Hunston at his daughter's wedding. But Bossman Burbage says I'm too plump for the role.
You, sir.
Humphrey,
Never.
Your girth does make it difficult for an audience to imagine you getting up out of your fairy throne, let alone flying.
Yes, I think I understand. 'Twould imperil the audience's suspension of disbelief, thus breaking the fourth wall, as you players so call it.
Ah, sir, indeed. Mr. Burbage worries much for them scenery walls, for he says my rear end is of such a size 'tis liable to smash right through 'em.
Nay, sir.
Anyways, Mistress Burbage told me that to fit into her gowns she bids herself chunder after eating. Might you give me some herbs for that or something?
And Mistress Burbage would be Richard Burbage's wife, I presume. Well, to judge what would be most effective in your case, I shall need to consult the stars. What should Mr. Humphrey Bell do to become leaner?
I do not recommend the purging, sir. Please do not become anorexic. Bossman says I am too plump to play a fairy queen. What can I do to make myself leaner? Says Mr. Humphrey Bell. Okay, let's see, Mr. Humphrey Bell. What are your options? Humphrey may provoke downward purging from his fundament by inducing an imbalance of phlegm, so he should just poop it all out. Humphrey may induce upward purging from his stomach by consuming Canis sicco excrement to induce a imbalance of choler. You should eat some sick dog's poop. I don't know what Canis sicco is, but whatever. Humphrey's condition has been provoked by chronic overconsumption of food. He must commit to underconsumption of food if he hopes to become leaner. Well, there you go. Just eat less, dude. Just eat less. That's all it is. So says Virgo. Here you go, sir. Just eat less, dude.
The solution is quite simple, Mr. Bell. If you would make yourself leaner, you have but to eat less.
Why would I need a doctor to tell me that though?
You didn't.
I need something to do it quicker than that, urgent like. Know you what I mean?
No.
Indeed. Sadly, I am familiar with the tendency of the young folk of this day to seek quick, easy fixes to their problems.
What about Mistress Burbage and her chundering though?
It's not healthy.
Can I not have what she is taking?
Well, there are ways to induce imbalances in your body to purge itself, but doing so is not at all healthsome.
Exactly,
For
thank
instance, I might have told you of the dangerous practice of taking goodly quantities of prunes and rhubarb to purge from the fundament. But that would have been negligent of me.
Exactly.
For as a physician, I cannot endorse...
Prunes and rhubarb. So I just eat them things.
No, please
Easy.
don't.
Thank you, Doctor. Give you a good day.
Hold, sir. I'd strongly advise against such a...
There he goes. Well, we tried. If he poops himself to death, it's not our fault. The querent sought assistance to become leaner in order to play the role of a fairy queen in one of Mr. Shakespeare's plays. I did advise the querent to reduce his consumption of food, but the querent took the advice for downward purging that I inadvertently dispensed to him. Methinks the querent was a little pleased with me for the reading I gave this day, and we will see him many more times. 5 more times, in fact, if I can count. Only 10% of the way there, though. Mr. Shakespeare spoke true about Dr. Forman. His doctoring is banging. Well, yes, Simon Forman does do a lot of banging, but not sure we could describe his doctoring as such.
Favored is Essex and close to the crown. Nobles like him do fare more than down. His family's too grand to jail, too rich to jail. But if Essex disobeys the Queen, she'll put him in the ground.
Yes, sir. Please behave before the Queen does dispatch of you post-haste, sire.
Good day, my lord. I must own, your lordship's visit to my chambers does surprise me, for I'd believed, well, indeed all of England believes, that you are in Ireland at present.
Did anyone see me? No? Good. Now, bid your manservant close the shutters.
As your lordship pleases.
Please, William.
William! Pray close the shutters. Yes, all of them. And fetch us some candles.
I pray the counsel you give me this day be wise, sirrah, for
Of course,
I find
sir.
myself in the most desperate of predicaments.
And the last advice I gave you? That of offering to lead a military campaign to put down the Irish rebellion? I trust it worked to win back the Queen's favour. Indeed, the parade given to send you off was most impressive. I was there. Did you see me? I did wave at you. Nay, I do not imagine you would have seen me. So great were the crowds.
Yes, my offer to lead the campaign was well received by the Queen. But there was a fatal flaw in your advice.
Was there, sir?
Oh, and this flaw was...
Is it not obvious? I had to verily go to that midge-ridden bog-hole and try to put down the Irish. God's breath! Have you seen the Irish? They are savages! That Irish chieftain O'Neill and his band of fen-born brutes are especially bad.
Forsooth, they sound most fearsome. 'Tis a mercy you escaped with your life, and are now back home safe in England.
Nay, I am not yet safe in England, I fear.
Did you go away
For when
well,
the
sir?
Queen finds out that I made a truce with O'Neill, heaven only knows how ill she will take it. Even my leaving Ireland without her permission will doubtless vex her.
I'm sure
Then
it
the
will.
Queen has not been informed of your return?
Nay, she knows yet nothing of it. I am at present taking refuge with my sister, the Countess of Devonshire, at her country estate. But I cannot hide there forever. Hence I am come to you this day so that the stars may advise me on how I may extract myself from my current predicament and win back the favour of the Queen.
Then let us see what the stars advise. How might Lord Devereux escape the displeasure of Her Majesty the Queen and regain her favour?
Indeed, how? How might I regain the Queen's favor? Robert Devereux must use his best asset to ward off the Queen's anger, his magnificent body. Oh, we're not choosing this one. I can tell you right now, we're not choosing this one. God will help Devereux if he appeals to the Queen's vanity and exercises patience. Devereux may revive his hopes for a brilliant career. All is not lost. Devereux must contrive a way to make the Queen see his disobedience within the context of their personal relationship rather than as an act of disloyalty to the crown. What kind of personal relationship do you have with the Queen, sir? Devereux imperils his legacy with his tendency towards confused optimism. Robert Devereux risks being subject to the violence of the law. Devereux may reverse the political situation back to his advantage by having the Queen look upon him as the son she never had. Okay, so in one we have the you should use your magnificent body to try to ward off the Queen's anger because she's a malcontent female. Yeah, so I don't like that one. You probably should not be trying to woo the Queen. I understand she's an elderly woman and also seems to be rather chaste, so it probably will not work. Maybe you should try to be her son. Let's go with that one.
The stars foretell of violence enacted by officers of the law.
Ah, verily. 'Tis doubtless a beheading. Forsooth, I do enjoy a good beheading.
It's yours,
Well,
sir.
'tis likely to be a trifle more elaborate than that. If the Queen is particularly vexed, it will start with a quick hanging until just afore the point of death, followed by a disemboweling and emasculation.
Ah, yes, of course.
Whereafter the gentleman is invited to watch his own entrails and privy parts being lightly grilled upon an open fire.
Just so lightly
before
grilled.
he is chopped into 4 separate pieces,
A quartering, I think you mean?
which, as etiquette dictates, are then to be parcelled up and sent as gifts to any friends and family members unable to attend the ceremony.
That's pretty harsh.
Yes, splendid. An execution with all the trimmings. Verily, whilst a simple beheading can be a most elegant entertainment, 'tis a trifle too, well, continental for my taste. Why, 'tis oft over in mere moments, whereas a full English execution keeps one entertained throughout the whole morning.
Yes, it does.
Though I fail to see what this has to do with... God's breakfast! You mean I am the one to be hung, drawn, and quartered?
It's possible, sir.
Well, yes, very possibly. I am afeard the only course left to you now is to humble yourself before the Queen. The stars suggest you might be able to convince her to look upon you as the son she never had. A naughty, wayward child who has rebelled against his parent. With time and patience, she may forgive you.
In truth, 'tis not the worst of ideas, and it might even clear the path for the possibility of... Yes, methinks this plan may serve me very well.
I'm glad to hear that, sire. I'm most glad to hear that. The querent did wish to know how he might regain the Queen's favor following his failure to put down the Irish rebellion. I did advise the querent to humble himself before the Queen, as if he were her errant child. Methinks the querent was pleased with me for the reading I gave this day, and you will only be back one more time, but we only need 15 more points. Only 15 more points, sir. Methinks I shall find her majesty alone if I slip into the palace one morning and surprise her in her bedchamber. Oh no. Do not do that. Sir, I am begging you, please, for the sake of my letter of recommendation and your own hide, do not take this course of action, sir.
Praise him, praise be to the Lord. The Lord Archbishop with gift, and thereby made the void unto us his eternal grace and favor. Praise be to the Lord Archbishop with gift.
Good day, Lord Whitgift. Let's just remind ourselves quickly what we've said to you in the past. Whitgift. Okay. So you came to us with jaundice, and we diagnosed jaundice. You asked us if Thomas Blagg should become the Bishop of Salisbury, and we said no, because things have been going missing from his current church. So, how can we help you today, Mr. Whitgift?
Good day, Your Grace, and well met. Might I inquire whether Your Grace has made a decision regarding whether to give Thomas Blagg the bishopric of Salisbury?
Ah, yes, Dean Blagg. I had my chaplain look into what you told me regarding irregularities in Dean Blagg's stewardship of Rochester Cathedral.
Yes?
Methinks you said he was embezzling coin and pawning cathedral furnishings.
There
did you
were
not?
things gone missing, yes.
Well, it seems you did speak true.
Oh, indeed?
Of course, I will make nothing of it, as I wish to avoid the scandal.
Of course,
I merely
yes.
told Dean Blagg that I could not offer him the bishopric due to various episcopal and doctrinal constraints.
Of course, very wise of you,
course.
sir.
And what problem would Your Grace wish me to address this day?
Oh, 'tis a problem with my other deans. With each passing day there seems to be a new dean at the palace gates, come to petition me for this wretched bishopric of Salisbury. Presently, 'tis Owen Wood, the Dean of Armagh. Since he returned from Ireland, he talks of nothing else.
How tiresome for Your Grace.
Indeed. I have told Owen that I'm giving his request careful consideration, but in my experience, this only delays a dean for so long. I do have to grant the occasional bishopric, or else my deans become restless.
Doubtless, Your Grace.
But after what I learned about Dean Blagg, I must take care to exercise caution. Hence, I would have you tell me anything you know. That is, anything the stars reveal about Owen Wood that would render him unsuitable to perform the role of bishop.
Then let us ask the stars. Is there any reason why the Most Reverend John Whitgift, the Archbishop of Canterbury, should not grant Owen Wood the bishopric of Salisbury?
I shall tell you, sire, that I know that Mr. Owen Wood, Bishop Owen Wood, has thus verily attempted to woo a woman, a married woman, Miss Alice Blagg. Yes, I believe, perhaps Miss Alice Blagg. Yes. And they were not successful. They did not connect, but he did attempt. He did attempt, sire. So let's look at Alice Blagg here. She wanted to know whether her lover Owen Wood had included her in his will, and we said no, that he will be announcing his adulterous ways. So we know Mr. Owen Wood, the Dean of Armagh, was maybe he's not the guy that we were thinking about. That they couldn't seal the deal. Perhaps. Maybe it was another person, but I think it was Alice Blagg. But anyways, we know that Alice Blagg was indeed Alice Blagg. We know that Owen Wood, Sir Owen Wood, is an adulterer. Should I grant Dean Wood the bishopric of Salisbury? John Whitgift is impossible to please. I mean, we don't know that. Owen Wood is vain but patient man who has God on his side. John Whitgift should bring Owen Wood's dream of being a bishop to life. While Owen is uncertain about whether he be offered the bishopric of Salisbury, he remains optimistic. And the other one is that he's an adulterer. When it comes to his relationships with women, Owen Wood has a creative interpretation of the teachings of the Bible on the sin of adultery. There you go. Owen Wood has betrayed his wife. An unexpected problem may arise concerning Owen Wood and some unborn children. Interesting. But yeah, we know he has a thing for the ladies, so we will go for this one.
I must advise against granting Owen Wood the bishopric, for the stars reveal that he has sinned most grievously.
Ah, verily? Grievously, you say?
Indeed, sire.
I am afeard Dean Wood did commit the sin of adultery.
Nothing else?
No, that's it.
More than once, Your Grace.
Doubtless, doubtless. While I appreciate your most excellent discernment of this information from the stars, I must own that Dean Wood's extra-clerical activities are already well known to me.
Verily, sire?
Why, even my own wife has had a tumble with the man.
Indeed.
Your Grace, I am sorry.
Hold, Sarah. In truth, 'tis of no consequence to me. What occurs in Lambeth Palace bides in Lambeth Palace, as we like to say. But you are right to remind me of Dean Wood's indiscretions.
Well, I am glad to
For
be of
mayhap
assistance.
it be not wise to elevate Owen to such a public position as bishop.
No, of course not.
I do have the reputation of the church to consider.
You do,
Indeed,
sire.
Your Grace.
I will tell Owen that while I had every intention of granting him the
Do not name
bishopric,
us. Do
my
not name
hands
us.
are now tied due to various episcopal and doctrinal constraints.
Of course, of
Very
course.
wise, Your Grace. And one more matter, if I may. Has Your Grace yet had the opportunity to consider the granting of my medical license?
Ah, yes, that. Once my chaplain has finished looking into the matter, I shall be giving it careful
Oh,
consideration.
thank you very much,
Good day.
sire. Can I also put forth that your humble servant, Simon Forman, is the best in position for the bishopric of Salisbury? I know we are not a priest. I know we have no pastoral teachings, but we are very honest. As long as you don't look into all our debauchery, we're very honest to your face. The querent did wish to know whether he should grant Owen Wood the bishopric of Salisbury. I did advise the querent against granting Owen Wood the bishopric. Methinks the querent was a little pleased, just a little pleased with me for the reading I gave this day. You'll come back 2 more times, and we are 25%, just have 25% more to go to knock you out. I mean that in all respect, sir. Not to knock you out physically, but, you know. A shame to disappoint Owen, but the Church cannot tolerate scandal of this nature. We are not the Catholic Church in Rome. Indeed, sire. Indeed you are not.
Since blind left Alice in the lurch, for solution she does search. 'Tis true she's the bedded half the church, but blind left Alice in the lurch.
Indeed he did, but that's not an excuse, Alice. Not an excuse to betray your vows to your husband. I know we already looked at Alice Blagg. We told her not to be a drunk. We told her her husband had spent all their fortune. Here's the one. This is the one I was thinking of. We told her to try to be constrained and gentle towards the Bishop of London, Richard Bancroft, but that did not work out for her. And then we told her that Owen Wood was probably not going to name her in his will.
Good day, mistress. What brings you?
I am come about my lover who is lately returned from Ireland.
Devereux?
Yea, and your current lover is, as I recall... yes, your lover at present is Owen Wood, the Reverend Dean of Armagh, is it not?
Aye.
And according to my notes, you were
Not
afeard he
Devereux.
might die in battle. And yet you do not appear to be much pleased he's returned alive. Whatever is the matter, madam?
It is being said around the diocese that my lover, Owen Wood, is romantically entangled with 2 other women.
And who
Indeed.
might these 2 other women be? Might one of them be his wife, or...
Of course not. Do not jape with me, Forman. For as you very well know, what you told me about Dean Wood reforming and becoming a loyal husband turned out to be naught but boil-brain. I did hear that one of the ladies Owen is seeing is Mistress Ways, while the other is a certain Anne Hayborn, with whom I am not yet acquainted. I do hear she
did
is
not
a very
skip that
young
line,
and
it skipped
comely
itself.
maiden, though mayhap a maiden no longer. I prithee, scribble one of those doodles of yours and tell me if this be true.
Madam, if you will but afford me some silence and calm, I will compose one of my doodles, as you so call my mathematically precise astronomical
yes,
charts,
so
and
precise.
endeavour to answer your question. To wit, is Owen Wood, the Dean of Armagh, wooing other women?
I would say yes. In fact, the Bishop of Canterbury's own wife, in fact. Owen Wood, to everyone's great surprise, will abandon his wench-chasing ways. Owen Wood is deceiving Alice and wooing other women, but Alice may be optimistic, for his relationships with these women are marred by discord. Or, I cannot click on C? Excuse me? Let's try again. I do not have a B or a C. Excuse me, sir? Well, as I literally cannot click anything else, like, you can probably hear my clicking, and it's not working. This becomes a hand for clicking. This is a no hand for clicking. Alright, let's try to click through some other things, maybe, and maybe it will resolve itself. Nope. No, it will not, so we'll go with A. A it is.
I have good tidings for you, mistress. Your relationship with Owen Wood is secure. 'Tis true he has indeed been conducting intimate liaisons with some of the wives and daughters of various deans and bishops, but...
So then 'tis true! What a maid-fiddling maggot of a man is he!
Aye, but prithee, madam, I had not finished. The stars suggest that Dean Wood's affairs with these women will shortly end, for it seems he is in dispute with them.
What, with all of them? At the same time?
It would seem so. Mayhap they all have been apprised of the same rumour that brings you this day.
Well, I am glad to hear these affairs are soon to be ended. But I will not lie, I am no less vexed with him. And indeed, if Owen has been larking about, 'tis only fair I do the same, to even things out between us.
I'm not sure that works.
I think what you may be referring to is lex talionis. 'Tis the law of retaliation, as practiced by the ancient Babylonians. Well, madam, indeed, if it would help square matters betwixt you and Dean Wood, you may consider me wholly at your service.
Of course, Simon. Of course you would turn this to your own lusty needs. You, sir, have the lusty passions. The querent did wish to know whether her lover, Owen Wood, the Dean of Armagh, was wooing other women. I was able to reassure the querent that although Owen Wood had indeed been bedding half the diocese, the women concerned were presently turning against him. Methinks the querent was a little pleased with me for the reading I gave this day, and then there was some hanky-panky in the diagnosing room there. Okay, still got a long way to go with you, madam. 1 down and 3 to go before things are square betwixt Owen and I. Although mayhap I should count that one as a half. Ooh, ouch. Ooh, ah. Simon, please. Hello, John Whitgift. You're back so soon, sire.
God give you good even, your grace. I trust you were pleased with the previous counsel I gave you? The advice I gave against granting Owen Wood the bishopric of Salisbury.
Ah, yes. Your counsel did indeed prove sound. For Dean Wood is now cods deep in scandal.
Indeed he is.
The parish council has received numerous paternity suits, and 'tis said that scores of defiled wenches bethrong the gates of his deanery each morning, clutching
terrible,
suckling
sire.
babes and demanding recourse. As for young Anne Hayborn, she has had her reputation ruined, and Dean Ways is barely speaking to his wife anymore.
On my word, how disgraceful.
Aye, indeed. If only Owen had the sense to exercise more discretion.
Yes, indeed, your grace.
The Bishop of London, for instance, manages his affairs very quietly. I might have been able to look the other way, but in this instance I could not let Owen's indiscretions pass. For a wretched local woman by the name of Mary Payne got wind of the scandal.
We are
and
aware of
stirred
her.
up a public fuss about it. Oh, the devil take the woman and her bacon-faced husband.
If I might venture an opinion, your grace, mayhap if we were to pay no heed to Mary Payne and her ilk, they would eventually tire of their animus and leave us all be. But is it upon such problems you come this day, or upon some other matter?
I am come about my health. I believe I do ail of something.
Do you, sire?
And pray, describe your complaints to me, your grace.
Well, I am afflicted with pain in my back, and at times I find myself hard of breathing. Indeed, I feel I may have phlegm in my chest, and I do bear these odd-looking spots upon my body that will not mend.
If you will permit me to loosen your robes to examine you.
Odd-looking spots?
I see. Methinks I have a notion of what ails you. Let me confirm it with a reading of the stars. What troubles Archbishop Whitgift?
Odd-looking spots, pain in your back, difficulty breathing. I mean, you may have the plague. I don't know, or some other kind of pox. I'm not sure what's the connection between all those symptoms, though. Okay, we can click on these. It's not like the other time. I have backache, short-windedness, and spots. I'm honestly kind of at a loss for this one, sir. John Whitgift is troubled with mattering in the breast. It causes chest pain, which is occasioned by corruptive phlegm having gathered in the chest. The moon domiciles in Cancer, so it's like breast cancer. John Whitgift is afflicted with knobs on the yard, a disease oft associated with lechery and characterized by wart-like growths on the privy member. Okay. Don't know what that has to do with backache and short-windedness. John Whitgift is suffering from the French pox, a venereal disease occasioned by lying with a pocky person. It is characterized by persistent sores on the arms and legs, short-windedness, and body aches. Well, there, I think we have it. Those are all the items put together. Sir, you have been so critical of all your employees that it seems that perhaps you have been dabbling in some sins yourself, sire. I believe you have the French pox, per se. Whatever the French pox is in today's language. And I will say, that reminds me, I did go back and look up Quinsy when I told Mistress Fortescue that she had lusty passions, and I did not quite mean it as the way that Simon said. I should have said Quinsy because Quinsy, as it turns out, just means an inflammation of the throat. Who knew? Well, now I know.
Your Grace, I know not how to put this delicately. You have the French pox. I am not sure how this is possible, as you're a man of the cloth. Indeed, mayhap I check the stars again.
No need. I did suspect as much.
Verily? How astute of you. The French pox can oft be difficult to cure, but in your case, it is not far advanced. This ointment of boar grease and mercury is to be applied to your entire body.
Mercury poisoning.
It must be rubbed in vigorously to ensure the mercury is well absorbed into the skin.
Don't do it, Simon.
You may then expect to see the sores on your body start to heal within a matter of days.
Don't do it, Simon.
I see. And, I imagine your manservant William will be giving me this treatment?
No, Your Grace. The grease is to be taken home with you and applied each night before bed for 9 days. Mayhap your chaplain could apply it to Your Grace's body.
Ah, yes, a fine idea. I thank you for this treatment, sir. Fare you well, Dr. Forman.
Before you leave, Your Grace, might I inquire again as to the possibility of you granting me a medical license? Your Grace did mention you would give it careful consideration.
Ah, yes, indeed I did I not? Have no fear, Dr. Forman. My chaplain is looking into it. Good day.
Good day, Sire, Mr. Whitgift, Lord Whitgift. I'm afraid to tell you again that no, my manservant will not be covering your entire body with mercury and giving you mercury poisoning. The querent did present with complaints of backache, short-windedness, and odd-looking spots. I did diagnose the French pox and describe bloodletting and an application of boar fat and mercury ointment to the querent's body. Methinks the querent is most pleased with me for the reading I gave this day. So I don't know what French pox is. That syphilis? Like what is the current name for the French pox? Hey! We did not get a medical license from him, but we do get his letter of recommendation. Thank you, sire. I do believe this doctor and I are beginning to develop something of an understanding. Are we, sir? Are we? Okay, I'll do one more. I should be calling this episode here, but I'll do one more.
Here comes Lord Devereux, ready to fight, wild-eyed and restless, he's been up all night. He may not know much, but he knows that he's right.
Oh, of course, I would never underestimate a mediocre man in fancy tights. Who would? It's ridiculous. Hello, Devereux. And even though we have been talking to you much lately, let's just check your past. We told you to put lead on your private parts. We told you to go find the Spanish fleet, and we told you to go out in the middle of the ocean. We told you to go to Ireland and put down the Irish Rebellion, which apparently you weren't too fond of because it actually involved fighting. And then we told you to become the Queen's son and humble yourself before her. So, how did that work out?
Give ye good morrow, my lord. I trust your lordship is well this day.
Well? God's body, am I likely to be well? I have been languishing under lock and key while all England goes to ruin.
Yes.
Sir?
I did hear something of your arrest.
I didn't.
I take it your encounter with the Queen did not go as well as planned.
Nay, 'twas a disaster. I took the precaution of seeking an audience with Her Majesty just after dawn, to be sure I would find her alone. But when I entered her bedchamber, she let out such a blood-curdling scream it alerted the palace guards, who ran into the room and arrested me.
But you were imprisoned in your York House residence, were you not? The fact that you were placed under house arrest and not imprisoned in the Tower surely speaks to the Queen's fondness for you. I trust your time in confinement was not uncomfortable, at least.
Well, yes, my time away from the world and its trifling concerns did, in truth, prove useful.
Verily, sire.
It afforded me time to reflect on larger questions, to
such
take
as?
stock of my life and put recent events in perspective.
I see. And what resolution did this quiet period of sober reflection bring you? A closer relationship with God? Or perchance you are resolved to spend more time with your family?
What? Nay. I said my mind was turned to larger questions. To wit, am I destined for greater things? Am I chosen by God to rule a kingdom? For I must needs act. The realm is under threat from within. For why was I verily imprisoned? Was it merely to punish me for some trifling mistakes I made in Ireland? Nay, 'twas to separate me from the Queen.
Doubtful.
Well, I imagine after discovering you in Her Majesty's bedchamber...
Do you not yet see? The Privy Council means to keep me away from Whitehall, lest I see how they have contrived to control and manipulate the Queen since I left for Ireland.
I do not believe that, sire.
Are you saying the Queen is weak and no longer in control of her reign?
Aye, indeed. Something must be done about it. Well, man, do not just stand there.
Yes, of course, my lord. Let us see whether the stars may give you your answer. Is Robert Lord Devereux, Earl of Essex, destined to, rule England?
The answer is no. No, you are not, sire. A, B, and C, which I can click upon all of them. Am I destined to rule England? No. No, you're not, sir. Devereux should use his substantial wealth to cleverly ensure cooperation with his plans. In short, he should engage in bribery. Robert Devereux is a strong authority figure. The Queen's failure to produce an heir will have violent consequences. Or, Robert Devereux suffers from geopolitical ignorance. A foreign sovereign is destined to rule England. Devereux is deluded about his legacy. And if Devereux does not rein in his ambitions, he will die. Or, C. Devereux would do well to limit the influence of his friend's advice upon him. Devereux is secretly motivated by his feelings about the Queen and how he has been treated by her. I mean, yes, you should not listen to your friends. But also, please, sir, do not get into this because you will die, sir. You are deluded, sire.
My lord, I must urge you to temper your ambitions. The stars warn that if your lordship keeps to your current course, it will lead to death.
Whose death, though? You mean my death?
Your death, yes.
God's underlumps!
And England may not be in so much danger as you imagine. The stars suggest that King James of Scotland will succeed to the English throne when Queen Elizabeth dies. He is, after all, her nearest royal relative.
James Stuart, eh? During my imprisonment, I wrote to him to request his aid, but I never received a reply. doubtless he is in league with the Privy Council. Nay, verily, a pox on the Scottish king and his pretensions to the throne! He would bring his full coterie of kilted savages down and install them in Whitehall Palace, where he would doubtless have us all eating porridge for supper.
I do hear that porridge is a healthsome...
I appreciate your concern for my own safety, Sirrah, but my duty lies with the realm and the safety of its people.
Minus.
If I must die, let it be for the sake of England, for God, Queen, and country.
I suppose we should not have told him that a foreign leader was going to take the throne, because that seemed to incite him. The Querent did wish to know whether he is destined to rule England. I did advise the Querent that he is not destined to rule England, and that he must temper his ambitions lest they result in his death. And he took it ill, and this was the last time we will see him, and we're not going to get his recommendation. So close, yet so far. My claim to the throne may not be as strong as the Stuarts, or the Lennoxes, the Greys, or the Yorks, but a pox on all their houses. God has chosen me. No, I don't think he has, sire. Alright, well that's where we will end it, having listened to the introduction to the latest about Mr. Thomas Blagg, and he's having some problems with his wife. Of course, he always is. But thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you again next time.